Welcome to the Vision Gap Show. Align your big idea and vision with a plan of action to resonate and stand out in your market. With your hosts, Andy Halko and Tony Zayas.
All right, welcome to today's episode. We're going to take a look and get really focused today at the audience of an EdTech firm and really dive in, look at how we can compare personas and look at where there's crossover, look where there's differences, so then we can make appropriate messaging and positioning for the two sides of it, so we can appeal to both sides. So Andy, tell us about who we're working with today.
Yeah, we have put together a fictional company, Kahoot, that sells into K through 12, higher education. You know, that's reflective of a lot of clients that we have at Incivia is EdTech clients that are selling into those different types of educational institutions. And we leverage our own tool, Frictionless, which we're kind of showing today, that can really help outline those target audiences. I think when you're talking about education, it's a very specific market, right? That you are oftentimes trying to appeal to teachers who can be busy, have limited budgets, may not have the ability to make buying decisions, you know, administrative folks, superintendents, to chief information officers that have a little bit more of a business mindset, and then all the ways up to board members that, you know, can come from diverse backgrounds and have, you know, a wide range of different opinions. And I think, you know, the other challenge that we often see with EdTech is that, you know, different regions, whether you're looking even in the United States or outside of the US, can influence these audience significantly in the decisions that they want to make about the products that they're purchasing, you know, how they get put into the institutions, whether they're K through 12 or higher ed. And so it's a really interesting and I think varied market if you're an EdTech company selling into these, you know, K through 12 through higher ed.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there are some things unique to education, K-12 market that we'll dive into and look at in a second. But typically, to your point of the different people involved, they have different interests, right? So the teachers are working hands-on with students. The superintendent's a little bit broader, looking at maybe an entire district with all things considered. Board members are even at, you know, a broader approach. So trying to really understand the challenges they face, the needs, the reasons they would buy, so on and so forth, it could be challenging. And a lot of the stuff is done through, you know, a group committee decision that people are going in and researching. A lot of times it is teachers and other folks and bringing that back. So let's take a look in here and see what we can learn, you know, from these insights.
And I think that's the valuable piece, right? That you're selling into EdTech, and these are such, you know, diverse audiences that the requirement to outline these personas, do your research, and really understand these influencers and interests. I mean, it's the only way that you're really going to catch attention of these folks, engage them in any sort of marketing or sales process, and convince them to move forward. Because if you don't understand them inside and out, each of these different roles, even if you're an EdTech company where you've got folks in your team that maybe came from being an educator or came from being a board member, as we were saying earlier, I think that it's, you know, each of these roles do have diverse mindsets, and that even if you've got experience in one, you've really got to do your research into the others. And so that's why here, you know, we've kind of put together like what are common pains of a, you know, elementary school teacher. What are their buying factors of things like curriculum alignment? The product should align with national and state educational standards as a good example. Student engagement, evidence of effectiveness, demonstrate success through case studies and testimonials. That's what, a school teacher is going to really want to see. As we talk about motivations, I do think at that school teacher level, they do have a tendency to care a lot about student success, their ability to engage in the classroom. These are some of the things that it's really important to make sure that you understand as a motivation as they're looking to buy, understanding what their responsibilities are, things like lesson planning, student assessments, parent communication, knowing that these folks have these specific responsibilities are really important, again, to that marketing and sales process. And then obviously who influences them. There can be a wide range from the board members and parents. We know it, we work with EdTech a lot. So we know teachers probably of anybody get hit from all sides. My wife is a sub at a school, so I hear it firsthand every single day in many ways. So it's really important to understand this stuff. And then as you get into interest, you have things like trends. How do you gamify educational content? How do you integrate artificial intelligence in the classroom tools, which is, currently a big topic, both at the educator level, the CIO level, the superintendent level. We see that. But you can see how for someone that's selling into EdTech, like a lot of our clients are, and when we're working with them, not only, helping them become more knowledgeable about their market, but really driving the activities that we're, trying to produce strategically for them.
And then as we dive into moving over to superintendent, I think it'll be interesting to see, again, when you notice the focus becomes broader, it's more what is scalable. It's what, it's oversight for the entire district. So the pains are going to be more focused on budgets, compliance, things like that as we can go through here.
Yeah, I see that as well. Something like training staff effectively in new technologies, addressing the digital divide. You really start to see that difference between, these two audiences, like you just said, budget constraints, prove effectiveness, and buying factors, improving student outcomes, which, we talked about student success within the school teacher. But I think, understanding that at the superintendent level, it's kind of a different angle of improving student outcomes, enhanced learning experience and achievement, kind of reflective of the overall programs, right? And so, like you said, when we work with folks in this space, a lot of times it's really prioritizing, which audience is going to be the most effective for the product. And then really making sure we understand those nuances between, I'm sure as you've worked with EdTech, you've seen those differences in between school teachers, superintendents, and then especially even chief information officers, right?
Yeah, and just to get granular, the superintendents also have to be concerned with the legal ramifications. So that's another aspect that, like, school teachers aren't going to be really they might be aware of some things, but the superintendent has to be hyper aware of those type of things. So it's just, the nuances, ultimately the charges, the students and grades and learning and all that. But there are a lot of little things that as you learn more, that's where it becomes powerful in building out your messaging and really engaging these different personas.
Agreed. And especially as you even get into some of these things that we've researched here, like the software that they use and solutions that they're interested in, like LMS and student information systems and, data analytics tools, cybersecurity. I mean, at the superintendent level, they've really got to think at that. Whereas, again, if we kind of pop to the same section of solutions for the teacher, we're seeing, digital assessment tools, professional development resources, classroom management, STEM kits and resources. And so, you really do see that difference of what solutions they might be interested in learning about and getting more from. And I think it's important as we do this, just to kind of show, how we do it, we've created a board member here, and it starts new. But I mean, this is the power today of AI and the platform that we built, Frictionless, that you can come into a board member, and it's using AI and various data troves that we have to come in and really help provide some insight. And so, balancing educational outcomes with financial constraints, navigating regulatory compliance, ensuring equity and inclusion, fostering an institutional reputation and competitiveness, responding to demographic shifts, ensuring leadership stability and succession planning. These are things that are completely different for a board member, and within a few seconds, we've kind of got this unbiased view of the pains. And then we can go into other things like motivations to understand what is driving a board member at these educational institutions, which it might be, again, things like implementing innovative solutions, ensuring financial stability, building strong partnerships, and again, I think enhancing institutional reputation. And so, this is the capability that if you've got a specific EdTech product that is targeted towards specific types of audiences, that within a few seconds to help you become more knowledgeable, to help any partner that you're working with become more knowledgeable, it's so important to come in here and do this unbiased research to really understand these target audiences.
Yeah, and keep in mind that you can dive in deeper into channels. I think that's one that is going to be a little bit different in this case in the school districts, and I think sometimes it's harder to reach different personas through different channels, and that we've seen. But this is pretty helpful. I really like in Frictionless, the channels helps you to identify kind of where they would be expected to spend their time. But when you go to sources, the next option, that's basically, what are the events, which conferences, which are the associations, what are the publications that these folks are probably looking at. And that's where you can get really focused. Here's, examples of them. So again, really important stuff that once you understand the persona, you got to build out that message to them. But then this allows you to take where do you engage them? Where do you find them? Where do you engage them?
Yeah, and then even in the demographics, I mean, I think it's always important to understand we have things like, age groups, and, we can actually research things like, what's the typical personality of a school teacher or a board member or superintendent. And Frictionless does allow you to get even at a deeper level to break these personas up into, location based if that's what's necessary, or specifically a certain grade of school teacher or a principal of a specific school type. And so the more focus that you get, you can really do that, and that helps you understand these audiences. But just here, I mean, looking at this, often juggling lesson planning, student assessments, and extracurricular activities. They're keenly aware of socio-emotional aspects of teaching young children, advocates for educational equity and striving to provide all students with necessary tools. So it just gives you an idea of like their thinking, because if you do that at the superintendent level, which we've already done, there is a different mindset of, they possess strong communication skills. They're often tech savvy, growing up alongside of evolving technologies. They're seeking cost-effective solutions that deliver best value and are skilled negotiators when it comes to securing funding or partnerships. Again, it's so impactful that if you're in this space, and especially if you don't come from an educational background, but you've created the product, or you hire employees that haven't come from the educational background, but are out marketing or selling, or even building your product, making sure that they understand all these nuances is the difference between, failure and success, 100%.
Yeah. So I would say whether you're an EdTech company or even a consultant agency that's working with EdTech companies, this is the type of stuff you want to dive into. And if you haven't already, frictionlesshq.com, sign up for a free account, play around with it, and feel free to reach out for a demo if you guys want to go deeper. But this is good to dive in and really take a granular look at the differences in personas. In the future, we might even kind of continue this conversation of, now that we know that, how can we build out messaging for them, things like that. But yeah, good stuff. And then you see there's a lot more. We can cover this real quick before we wrap up here, but
we'll kind of close it out in the fact that once we've created these personas, the great thing is that the Frictionless platform starts to mine content article ideas for you, so you can write articles that appeal to that specific target audience, campaigns to actually get their attention and get them into the funnel, even sales tips that help you understand, like, when I go into a sale with these folks, what do I need to make sure I'm touching on? Potential offerings, conversion actions, what are things that you can use on your website to get them to take action, like a green school initiatives impact calculator, website ideas, create a dynamic resource hub focused on STEM and STEAM, right? And so it's not only just understanding your target audience, but Frictionless is taking that hyper-specific audience and providing the insights and suggestions to be most effective across marketing, sales, customer engagement. And again, just kind of taking you up a whole nother level than trying to do it on your own, for sure.
Good stuff. Well, we will see everyone next time. Thank you for tuning in, and take care.
This episode of the Vision Gap Show has been brought to you by Frictionless. Build high-impact strategy at scale. Create your vision, brand position, and go-to-market strategy, all in a collaborative AI-enabled workspace. Visit frictionlesshq.com to create your free account today.